So our next lesson we're talking about converting between bytes and bits. Now this is important for our next lesson when we're talking about downloading speeds, because downloading speeds are measured usually in bits per second. So we need to know the conversion between bits and bytes because we know our file storage is in bytes and our downloading speed is in bits per second. So we want to know, well, how long does something take? So we want to know how many bits are in our 5 megabyte file, for example. Okay, so let's look at it. Now we've already determined and spoken about that there are 8 bits in 1 byte, and we remember our Khan Academy explanation of that. As we can see, 8 zeros and ones. Okay, so 8 bits, 8 zeros and ones make a whole byte. Okay, these are 16 bits, so there's 2 bytes, zeros and ones. So we need to convert between, which is very straightforward because all you need to do is remember 1 byte is 8 bits. So we're just either multiplying by 8 or dividing by 8. So how many bits are in the following? 12 bytes. So how many bits? All we're doing is multiplying by 8. So 12 bytes by 8 to determine how many bits. Remember, bits, B, is a lowercase. So it's 96 bits. So lowercase b. I'll write bits in this time, but it's a lowercase b. Similarly, 1250 bytes. How many bits? Just multiplying by 8. Now, don't forget, in any exam, in any situation, you need to make sure you are showing your working out. So while you might think that it's unnecessary to show multiply by 8, it is necessary because if you get the answer wrong accidentally, you will still get the marks if you've shown your working out. Alright, so that was bytes to bits, straightforward. But this time we have 62 kilobytes. So we have to go back to our previous lesson of thinking about, well, we need kilobytes in bytes first before we can convert it to bits. So if we remember, there are 1024 bytes in a kilobyte. So let's convert 62 kilobytes into bytes. So multiplying, remember our magic number is 1024, and that will be for capital B for bytes. Okay, so that conversion makes it 63,000 on our calculator, 488 bytes first. Then we need to convert to bits. Now I can't stress the importance enough of writing your units in here. If you just do the working out, then there's random numbers down the page. We don't know what you're talking about. We don't know if you know what you're talking about or what you've converted to. So it's really important that you put your units there. So now converting to bits, we have it in bytes now. So we're going to multiply by 8, and then I'm going to get an answer of a little b for bits. So when I do that, I'm going to get 507,904 bits, little b, 4 bits. Now to our gigabyte. So 1 gigabyte to our bytes. So we go from bytes to kilobytes to megabytes, then to gigabytes. So we're going 3 steps: byte, kilobyte, megabyte, a gigabyte. So we're having to multiply 3 times. So 1 times 1024, so that will get us from gigabytes into megabytes. From megabytes into kilobytes is another 1024. Kilobytes into bytes is another 1024. If you've forgotten that or that is confusing, go back to your previous lesson notes where you have the diagram with the arrows that will show you that conversion. So these are very big numbers, So we're going to be talking about 1 billion. So very big numbers. So just be careful when you're writing these down that you're writing down all the correct numbers. It's very easy to make a mistake. 824 bytes, capital B. Then I'm going to multiply that by 8 to get us to little bits, little b, bits. So when I do that, I'm going to get 8,589,934,592 bytes. Sorry, bits, little b. Now the opposite way, we're going to go from bits to bytes. So how many bytes are in the following? So if I've got bits and I want to go to bytes, I'm doing the opposite of multiplying. I'm going to divide by 8. So how many bits have I got? I've got 416 bits. I'm going to divide that by 8 to get me into capital B, into bytes. So when I do that on my calculator, I'm going to get 52 bytes, capital B. Similarly, I'm going to divide by 8. So I have here 6,974,400 bits, and I'm going to divide that by 8 to get me into bytes. And when I do that, I'm going to get 871,800 bytes. And that's all we need to do to convert from bits to bytes at this stage. Then we'll use that in the next lesson for downloading speeds.